I have absolutely nothing without my network. And it's my network that's given me absolutely everything.
Welcome to High-End Client Acquisition Podcast. My name is Marian. I'm your host, and this show is here to teach you how to attract your dream clients on autopilot in 30 days or less. Each week, I bring you a guest or a strategy that can help you take your business to the next level. Don't forget, you can always get the episodes in your inbox or messenger at clientacquisitionpodcast.com.
Steve, so first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast today and share some golden nuggets with my audience. For, a lot of my audience listeners, a lot of the people that will listen to this episode are at least aware of who you are and kind of the content that you produce around personal branding and around connecting with other influencers. Some of them might be even subscribers to your own podcast, The Art of Making Things Happen. Let's assume the 1% that are not. How did you get started and how much your mission has changed since you started versus now?
Wow. So as everyone knows, I say everyone knows, that's very assumptive there. I launched a high-end concierge firm and was known as the real-life Wizard of Oz. I basically spent billionaires' money on getting them to meet Elton John, sing with Andrea Bocelli, go down to the Titanic. So I did a lot of that kind of stuff. When the book came out, I found that a lot of entrepreneurs were reaching out to me, and I was suddenly gifted with a new zest for life. I'd always liked doing the impossible. Now I was able to do this with entrepreneurs and to quite simply get them out of the way of themselves. So my life chapter has changed. Instead of spending rich people's money to give them interesting cocktail stories, I work directly with entrepreneurs to help them brand, market, unify a voice, get continuity in their message, attract the clients that they want, not the clients that they get, and quite simply build up stability in their brand and their recognition. So it's a really much more invigorating and fulfilling job that I now have, and it's exciting.
Awesome. And so you just mentioned something that it's really important, and I think the audience will love to know kind of the behind the scenes of it. I always like to ask the questions that kind of people are afraid to ask, so to say. So you work with two completely different worlds, like the world of high-end celebrities and billionaires and millionaires and people like that. And then now helping entrepreneurs, even maybe one-man shows or one-woman shows, kind of build their own brands, right? Like these two worlds are completely kind of different in a way, but also close in terms of missions and things like that. Why the transition? What kind of triggered the fact that you said, okay, I want to work with entrepreneurs and I want to help people build their brands versus spending all my time helping these billionaires and celebrities with their needs? Why the change?
Actually, that's very easy. Fulfillment. I'm 52 years old. I live up in the hills in California. I got a garage full of motorcycles. I'm happy. I'm comfortable. And then all of a sudden, this book gave me the chance to get entrepreneurs uncomfortable, get them to change, get them to alter. And here's the thing. If I spend a billionaire's money, if I spend like $750,000 on a phenomenal weekend in Prague or Monaco, then him and his mates get to enjoy it. But if I can work with an entrepreneur and get them to change their business, their mind, their perspective, then it doesn't just benefit them. There's a massive leakage. It benefits their family, their spouse, their kids, their employees, their team, their staff, their vendors. I can reach so many more people by changing someone sitting in the big chair. That empowerment and that fulfillment, quite simply, it helps me sleep better at night. And so I'm having much more fun doing it. The challenge is still the same. I can get people married in the Vatican easier than sometimes I can change an entrepreneur's mind for the benefit because, we're quite powerfully ignorant most of the time. That's the power we have as an entrepreneur. But it's really fulfilling to get people to change and to do something special.
That's powerful. And you said something really interesting there. You said that you sleep better at night because it's the compounding effect, right? Like you help one person to kind of build their dream, build systems into their business and kind of grow their company, and then their families, their kids, everybody around them, they're going to be able to also help other people they're coming after that. So it's an awesome thing that you're doing. Let's go a little bit right there. What do you see with the people that you work with on a daily basis? What do you see people making mistakes on the most in terms of, not attracting the right type of customer? Like, why do you think that happens?
So first of all, there's a whole series of common mistakes. The first one is to hide behind the checkbook. There's a lot of people that go, oh, if I had that CRM, if I had that funnel flow, if I had that infrastructure, if I had that COO, they look for the blue pill and they think once I buy it, then my problems will be over. Wrong. Focus first on what are you solving? What is the problem out there that you have a solution for, and then find someone that's got that problem. You see, it doesn't matter how good your CRM, your ClickFunnels, your website, your Instagram profile, it doesn't matter how good that is if you don't have one client. And so the first thing that we do is we strip all the bullshit away. And as I said, we get you uncomfortable. What do you look like naked? What do you look like? Who are you helping? What are you doing? How are you standing? What do people see? And then we make sure that's attractive. We make sure that's well put together, and then we expand the reach. A lot of people get really uncomfortable, and I've had people end contracts with me because they're just not ready to do that. Literally just took one on about a month ago that left me about 2 years ago, and they were like, no, I don't want to. And they came back to me and they went, I've wasted 2 years because I didn't want to get uncomfortable. Now I'm ready to get uncomfortable. So you do have to shake them up a bit and get them uncomfortable, and then you need to actually address their mind. And a lot of people do things because it's how they've always done them. And the world's changing at such a speed. It's like you going to work now on a push bike. Just because you did when you were a kid and you did your paper round on a push bike, you now can't get to business on a push bike when it's 50 miles away. You have to go with the times. If you're not, you're standing still. If you're standing still, you're actually going in reverse, becoming stagnant, and you will die. So the most common mistakes are people look for the blue pill in technology. That's inaccurate. Technology is there to amplify, assist, and help, but not replace. It doesn't give you the magic. And secondly, you've got to address your own fears. You've got to realize that 99% of the problems are actually you. And if you can address that, and if you're willing to address that, then you can get growth, then you can actually develop, then you can get uncomfortable enough to expand.
That's super powerful. So when you say, you work with them, you identify the problem that they solve, and then you kind of expand their reach, do you focus a lot on productizing their service, or is it a specific type of entrepreneur that you work with? Is it a specific industry that you work with?
I thought in the early stages it would be a particular kind of entrepreneur, or maybe there would be a particular kind of industry I would get. And I thought because of my luxury concierge business, it would be yacht charters, real estate, those kind of things.
Yeah.
The client I told you just came back to me after 2 years. He's a dentist. I worked with a baker. I've got a baker in Chicago. I've got someone that owns a distillery. So the range of clients I've got are literally from rocket scientists down to construction workers. Actually, down's not the word that I should use. I was a construction worker. But the range is vast. The goal today is to not be replaced, to stand out, to not fit in, and to breed loyalty without the requirement for loyalty points. So that can address any kind of industry, from an attorney to a bricklayer. So my range of clients has been vast, has been growing, and I'm amazed. I do these events called speakeasies. It's a private event for 40 people, so I'm not promoting it, but I'm just telling you, it's a small group. Mm-hmm. So you've got 40 individuals in there that are from such an eclectic array of bank balances to industries, yet we all share the common thread of being an entrepreneur that wants to grow and dominate and change not only ourselves, but other people. And that common thread allows such dysfunctional misfits to congregate and fit in a room. It's very strange and very impactful when you actually see it happen. And you see people, you see billionaire entrepreneurs talking to up and coming entrepreneurs, and they have something in common. That's pretty impactful as us as entrepreneurs.
It is. And I think, of course, the person that's just starting out will have way more things to learn from the other person, but you never know where the kind of connection.
No, I've got to jump in there. Do you know the problem is just when you start getting more successful, you start becoming repetitive. When you are young and you're starting, you're ignorant, and never, ever, ever look away from the superpower of ignorance that entrepreneurs have. We are so ignorant that we don't think it can fail, so we try different things. And shock, horror, surprise, some of those work. Now, if we were successful in business, we may avoid them because we don't want to risk things. You'll be surprised how many times I will see an established, successful entrepreneur talking to an upstart that just tried something on TikTok, and the guy going, holy shit, why didn't I try that? Because 9 times out of 10, we get set in our ways, the more successful we get. The bigger the ship, the harder to steer. So those young up-and-coming entrepreneurs often come with some of the brightest, most ignorant ideas, and from there can come the greatest growth.
That's so true. And I'm glad that you jumped in and correct me there. And I love the way that you look at things. You hear a lot of people talking about really niching down, or niching down, whatever, however it's pronounced after all. But I love the fact that you kind of look at things differently in a way of, hey, even though I today work with, let's say, a real estate mogul, and then tomorrow I work with a construction company, and then the other day I work with a baker, they kind of all share the same things, the same struggles, in a way that, okay, we all want to grow, we all want to get better, we all want to automate, well, as much as possible, of course, in a way that can produce more income and then save more time, right? So I love the way that you look at that. How long did it take you to come up with that decision and say, okay, I'm not going to just work with construction companies, I'm not going to work only with real estate people? How long did it take you to get to that?
I don't think I had the choice. When the book came out, or prior to the book, I was very well known to maybe 0.5% of the planet. You know, no one knew who I was. Then the book came out, and all of a sudden there were people going, well, hang on a minute, you were a bricklayer that's now doing this with Elton John. That kind of gives me permission to be able to do it myself. And then they were reaching out to me. So it wasn't a case of I sat there going, right, I'm only going to deal with these people. I had people with true needs, true desires, and true passion to change, that they dictated that I would take them on as clients. And then I started looking at my client list. In fact, it was my wife that looked at it and she went, wow, you got a wide range of clients here in industries. And I was like, I have. I had 18-year-olds. I think my eldest was like 70 something, that's now just topped into 80, just doing something new. That's the baker I was talking about. I'm stunned at the range, but as I say, as much as the industry, the age, and the demographic and geographics are different, we all have the same thread as an entrepreneur. So I didn't sit there overanalyzing a business plan where I was going to work only with real estate people from, Connecticut. I literally just sat there and went, okay, who can I help? And then listen to the people coming in.
I love it. And you mentioned the book. We're talking about the Bluefishing, right? The art of making things happen.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
It's now just got translated. I can't believe that. It now got translated in Polish. So it gets released. I think it gets released in Poland in March. But it's just come out in Japan. Last year it came out in Thailand, Vietnam, China, Mandarin Chinese. Where else did it get released? But I can't believe the amount of countries that are actually picking up on it. And it's flattering, bewildering, and scary at the same time, the kind of emails and messages I keep getting from around the planet.
That's awesome. And I'm assuming it's something that really kind of blends into your mission of helping other people, streamline their companies and building out a bigger brand. How did the book come out? Like, why were you planning for it? And I know that a lot of people spend lots of years of writing it and then rewriting it. And I'm in the process of writing my own book. So
then this story's going to upset you. And I apologize in advance, because every person I tell this story to that's writing a book, I usually get called bad things. But the fact is, I was at a party and I was chatting with someone, and this all goes down to the power of your network. I was in the right party at the right time, and someone said to me, you should write a book. And I said, I can't write a book. And they said, no, we get a ghostwriter, but you should write a book. Come to my office. So I went to their office, chatted with them, and they wanted to write a book on the rich and famous people that I dealt with. And I told them, can't do that. If I did that, I'd be dead by cocktail hour. I cannot name names. I cannot tell you how much they spend. I can't do it. And then they came back to me and they said, well, hang on a minute. You know, you're doing this stuff, but you are just a bricklayer from London. So can we change the emphasis of the book and now start focusing on how you do things rather than who you do them for? So I agreed. We did a couple of chapters with a ghostwriter. Didn't quite hit the mark. They changed the ghostwriter to this wonderful lady. And all of a sudden, we gelled and clicked, and it took off. And we wrote the book and thought to ourselves, oh, this would be cool. I wonder if anyone would like it. But there was no thought. There was no planning. We didn't even have a website up when the book came out. To say that it was badly planned is an understatement, but I really just thought I'll sell 10 copies. That'd be it. And I actually got paid very well for doing the book as well, just to make it even more annoying for you. But it took off and people started resonating with it. So we did a website and people saying, hey, you know, do you speak on stage? And I'd already spoke on stage at luxury conventions. Yeah. So all of a sudden I started speaking on stages. I think last year I did like 32 gigs. This year, I think we've got about 18 already booked. I'm booked all the way through to June. So, you know, it's just been going crazy. Loads of appearances, loads of deep dives, loads of consulting clients. It literally exploded, but it all came from that one night in a party. And I came home and I said to my wife, oh, someone said about writing a book. Shall I do it? And she was like, you can't even write an email. How are you going to write a book? So we had no idea, but we realized that writing a book doesn't mean that you have to sit down in a room and write and write and write. It means getting your story across in an understandable way. And my ghostwriter, when she spoke to me, she said, I'm not writing a book. I'm just translating your stories to what people would understand. And it was really good to have that relationship with her.
Oh, 100%. I mean, English is not even my first language, so I couldn't write it myself. I'm working with a ghostwriter. It's just that I changed a couple of times. Well, I've been only in the process for about 4 or 5 months-ish. So I guess, I don't know if that's good or bad.
You may be overthinking it.
But yeah, hopefully it'll be out at the beginning of March. So yeah, okay. We'll see how that goes. But no, that's an awesome story. So, I mean, coming back to the book writing, you said you attribute that to the party that you've been attending because you met the right person. So that comes down, in my opinion, to networking and doing it and being at the right time, you know, meeting the right person. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. You're absolutely correct. And that's why I say it comes down to the power of your network. I have absolutely nothing without my network. And it's my network that's given me absolutely everything. So I have always focused on building relationships. And if it wasn't for the relationship I had in New York, they wouldn't have invited me to the party. They wouldn't have introduced me to the editor. And I wouldn't be sitting here with you talking now as the author of a very successful book.
Got it. So if we would look back, how much of an influence do you think your previous business had on the current network that you had? Like, for example, if you would, actually, let me rephrase the question. If you would have to start over right now, what would be the first step or the first couple of steps that you would do? Or what would you recommend to somebody when they, let's say they move to a new state, they move to a new city, you know, it seems that they don't know anybody. I mean, of course, with the power of social media, it's different now, but what would you think you would do now to start building your network from scratch?
Well, I would do exactly what you just did. We are very lucky now with social media for as much of a distraction and as a noise that it actually is. You can still use social media to target market. You can actually reach out to Mark Cuban today. You can send a text to Elon Musk and the Pope. You can reach out to people today that you never could reach out to 10 years ago. Now, they may not respond because they're busy, but they may also not respond because the way you interacted and reached out to them was boring. So if you move to a different state, why don't you post on there and go, hey, I'm moving to a new state. Really interested in looking for like-minded individuals that like yellow cars and puppy dogs. You know, you can be so specific to meet people that you like. You have no reason now to be associating with people that don't challenge, push, and benefit you. And do you know, that's most of the problem. The problem isn't today moving to a new state and building up a new network. It's clearing out the shit network that you've got now. Far too many times I meet people and they've got a group of friends around them and half of them are hanger-ons. They're tag-alongs. They're the ones that giggle at your jokes as long as you're paying for the bar tab. Those people need to be thrown out of your life, and you need to associate with people that challenge, motivate, and push you to be better, push you to want to be better. The crabs in your life that are holding you down going, don't worry about that. Oh, you don't want to be, get rid of them. If you're going to a new area like I did when I left England and I moved to Hong Kong, I knew nobody. Therefore, I had no hangers on. My downside wasn't going to Hong Kong with no job and any future. My downside would have been to have stayed in London and to continue down the path that I was with the kind of people that I was with. That probably half of them went to jail. I know a few of them did. I wouldn't be surprised if most of them had by now. So you've got to not worry about this. Oh, if I went to another town, how would I build up my network? Bollocks. Worry about your network now. Look at every single person you hang around with that raises their hand and has a voice in your life, and ask yourself, do they have the right to comment? And is their comments pushing me or just holding me back to make them feel good?
That's a powerful message right there. And I can totally relate to this and what you just said, because I moved to US. I'm originally born and raised in Romania, Europe. So I moved to US in 2012. So I can totally relate to what he just said right there. So you have a little bit of not a little bit, but a strategy where you talk about step number one being getting in front of the right people, which is a lot of people can figure it out. But then step two is make them want to spend more time with you. I don't hear too many people talking about this. Do you mind getting into a little more into details of this?
Yeah, there's the old story that, I've got to get my foot in the door. Well, as I said to you, because of social media, we can get our foot in the door absolutely anywhere. You've now got to bring so much value and interest to the person you're talking to. The getting your foot in the door is no longer the aim. The aim and the goal is to be so irresistible that they never want you to leave. And so nowadays, if I wanted to go, let's say if I'm saying I wanted to go and meet you this afternoon, okay? And you had a relationship with, let's make it Ducati, okay? And I wanted your relationship. Now I can look on your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your profile, your website, and see that you have a relationship with someone superior in Ducati. Okay, we can voyeur, we can stalk people now without the other person even knowing. So I can do all of this viewing. I can find out that you have a friend that I want to know. And so what I can then do is I can look at that same media and I can see the kind of things you like. I can see your history. I can see your backstory. I can see where you're going, what you're trying to do. And if I was to contact you and go, hey, I heard about your podcast. I listened to a couple of episodes. It's fantastic, but I have some very good pointers that I believe could escalate your listening potential tenfold. Would that be of interest? And I'm going to tell you quite openly, in doing so, I also noticed that you know Robbie, and if I can look after you, would you mind the introduction to Robbie for me? I'm coming to you with value. I'm coming to you with something that benefits you. I always hate the people that come to my office and they go, Steve, we've got a problem. No, we haven't. You have. Never come to me with a problem. Come to me with a solution. Even if the solution's crap, I want to see the effort that you tried to fix the problem before you basically just passed it onto my shoulders. And so by coming to you with value, you're now impressed at the commitment I took to bring something of value to you. There is a much higher potential that you're going to introduce me to Robbie that I asked you to.
No, that's totally true. Because I mean, you looked straight into what I was having going on, which is the podcast, listen to a couple of them saying, yeah, I mean, that's super powerful. So I hope everybody's taking notes, because it's a strategic, tactical thing to really, pretty much anybody can do this after this episode. Just go and see exactly who you want to connect with, and then make a list and just follow your steps. So I appreciate you sharing that.
I was speaking to Dan Fleischman the other day, and we were just joking around, and someone said to him, how do you pick the right investments to have? Because, probably, hundreds of people try to hit you up with business plans. And he said, I say yes to every single request to send me a business plan. I say yes to every single one. He said, and here's the dumb thing, only about 20% of the people that I have said yes to actually follow through with a business plan.
I think I saw a story recently from him about this. So that's just when you think about it, him knowing that, it's, I don't know. I mean, for some reason, people, I guess, they would just ask the question, but didn't follow through. So
yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. So going back to what you do and the way that you help your clients, you've already built your personal brand, right? Now, when you look at the way that they want to make more money or grow their sales or multiply profits or whatever it would be, at what point in time you look at, helping them with their personal brand? I know you also help other people with like speaking advice and things like that. The point is, because you have such a wide range of industries, somebody that's a real estate investor or agent or whatever may need a different personal branding advice versus somebody that's a baker. And I love the fact that you mentioned that at first, because now it gives me context to go even deeper. Like, where do you see personal branding fitting into somebody's business growth plan?
So personal branding is one of those unicorn conversations. A lot of people focus on their brand. I tell my clients, stop doing that. A brand is what someone else thinks of you, not what you think of them. So you've always got to listen to, what is the brand being established for you? What is the story being told about you? Now you can feed it. You can tell clients stories of what you're doing, give them testimonials, show them products, show them your position, show them the problem that you're solving. But if every client out there goes, well, that's a very loud person, then without whatever you're doing is irrelevant, because you are now branded as a loud person. Now you can start talking quieter. You can spend all of your conversations speaking to dissolve that brand. But a brand is what the masses say about you. Focus on listening to them, not your own ego. The thing that bothers me is you get all of these people going, well, I'm a leading thought leader. I am a provoker. I am a guru, Insta guru with all of my 100,000 followers. I'm a genius. That's self-proclaimed ego. There's all the people out there going, well, that person, he doesn't put up good content. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's full of himself. That's the brand. That's the reality. So what everyone else is saying about you is your brand. Listen to the masses.
So you kind of think of prove it instead of talking about it.
Well, let me ask you this question. Do you think Elon Musk gives a flying shit what you think of him?
Hell no.
No. But is he arrogant?
I mean, depends, I guess. Maybe a little bit. I don't know.
Do you think so? Or do you think he just doesn't care what you think?
I think he doesn't care what I think.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people think that's arrogant, but no, he actually just focuses on what he's doing. He focuses on producing. You imagine how many times people have tried to create scandal around Tesla, create scandal around SpaceX, scandal around solar panels. And he just sits there and says, it'll be done when it's done. My rockets are crashing. They're not landing properly, the fuel cells, but I'll get it right. My cars aren't going fast enough. I'll make them go fast enough. The other week, he unveiled his Cybertruck. He unveiled it with the bulletproof glass, and then asked the guy to throw the stone at the glass. And what happened?
Yeah, it broke.
Now, has that stopped anybody actually buying his truck?
No, actually created a lot of engagement, a lot of people talking about that for like weeks now.
Do you think any chance whatsoever that he has fixed that problem now?
I don't know if he had a chance so quickly, but maybe, yeah, I mean, I guess at least it's in the process of.
Bingo. Before that truck comes out into production, I guarantee you they'll show you another test and it'll work.
Yeah.
Why? Because he focuses on the product and what he's doing. He's focusing on fixing. He's not focusing on the brand. He's not focusing on the marketing. In fact, he's probably one of the worst marketers out there because he doesn't care about all the prettiness. When was the last time you saw an advert for Tesla on TV?
Yeah, true.
Right? Doesn't give a shit. You know, the first thing he said is, I am going to bring buying cars into your local mall next to Nordstrom's. Do you remember that? How many other car manufacturers can you actually go into your local shopping mall and buy the car?
Yeah, you can't.
No, you can't. But there's nothing more painful than going to a car lot and trying to buy a car when you get the, hey, good afternoon, sir. How are you? You know, it's annoying. People don't like buying cars because, to be blunt, buying a car is very similar to a rectal exam. It's painful. But these guys decided to do it differently. They created a showroom in a shopping mall. They disrupted it. Now, bearing in mind, let's not forget, Elon's the guy that disrupted the banking industry. Then he disrupted the car industry. He's disrupting the power industry at the moment with his solar panels. I've taken guests into SpaceX, Tesla in Fremont, and into the Gigafactory. He's a disruptor. He's not a marketer. And he doesn't give a flying fart about branding. He's the guy that can. And as much as you want to laugh at him, and look at how many times NASA laughed at him because this guy that made a ton of money out of banking and then spent it all to build rockets. How many times did you hear NASA publicly taking the mickey out of him?
Oh, tons of times.
Now, who is SpaceX's biggest client?
Is it NASA?
Bingo.
That's powerful. That's right there. No, yep. And I guess, yeah, I mean, that speaks a lot of truth into, I guess, why so many other people, I mean, I don't know anybody that does what he does the way that he does it, at least, right? In terms of, you know, he just created the buzz, especially with the latest Cybertruck launch. There wasn't no advertising with it. There wasn't no videos. It wasn't pretty much no pitching of it, and it had all the things that kind of, you know, the windows that broke, and then I think it was one of the sides that kind of bent when they threw whatever it was in there. So yeah, I mean, it's something that we can all learn from. So, you know, I love the fact that you reminded me that, because that's a really powerful lesson. So what I like to go right now to is, with every guest, I want to give the audience one really fast action task that people can do right after listening to this episode, and then one long term, so something that they can implement for the rest of the year. So if you would tell people something that they could do right after this episode, they can go implement in a couple minutes or hours, whatever it is, to get at least closer to their business growth plan, what would that be?
The easiest thing is to sit down with a cup of coffee or a whiskey and just ask yourself one question. What problem am I solving? That's the only question. You know, if you want to be slimmer, faster, sexier, smarter, whatever. You know, people spend a lot of money on designer clothes because they make them look good. They spend money on flashy watches because it makes them feel good. They drive fast cars because it creates exhilaration and the idea that they are that superstar James Bond. What are you doing? Are you solving a problem, or are you aspirational? You know, people wear handbags to show off that they can afford a Hermes Birkin bag. You know, people drive Rolls Royces to tell you how successful they are. There's a big trend here in Hollywood of very, very successful celebrities that drive around in cars that look really, really normal, but on the inside, they've done them up so that they're very luxurious, but on the outside, they just look normal. all the big flashy Ferraris and Rolls Royces and all that kind of stuff that drive up and down Beverly Hills are doing it for your pleasure, not for theirs. So are you solving a problem or are you aspirational and creating an emotion? Ask yourself that question and then fine tune your message and your marketing on that position.
I love that. And I think it's super important for everybody that's listening, and me included, to do this exercise. And I love the fact that it's so quick that everybody can take action on it. All right, cool. We got the short-term task down. What is something that people can do long-term, let's say for the next 3-6 months up to like the whole 2020 to get their business growth plan in place?
There's always this short, medium, and long term. I'm a great believer in marketing for tomorrow. What you do today will change next year. And as our business grows exponentially, it'll change next 6 months. So everyone today should be using the power of texting campaigns. Everyone should be looking at setting up and establishing their own QR codes. Everyone should be looking at creating, quite simply, a following. Now, the biggest asset any company has today is a following. If you look at, say, for example, Toys R Us, funny enough, did not have a big following. Why? Because the fulfillment of their toys was Amazon. So Toys R Us was actually creating a habit and a commitment to buying their toys through Amazon. And when you were looking at Amazon, you suddenly found the competitors. So Toys R Us was creating Amazon's tribe and following. If you look at a company like Target has a big loyal following. So you should focus today on how can I create a tribe? How can I create a following? Just in the same way that I got a book deal through my tribe, through my community, that's what you should be focusing on. Don't focus on the branding. Don't focus on the pretty website. Focus on what your voice says, what problems being solved, and how you can bring them all together in a community, in a tribe. And that should be online. That should be digital. So LinkedIn groups, TikTok, Instagram, any kind of momentum and traction you can build up to build a tribe, that should be your focus.
I love it. And I love the fact what he just said was what you do today is going to impact tomorrow. What you do this next couple of months is going to impact the next year. So I think that's super, super important, because if we're just sitting around, it's going to impact your next year's sales because you're just sitting around. But if you do stuff, of course, your goals will change for next year and things can improve at a different level. So I love that. Is it anything that I haven't covered that you feel that people could actually benefit from this interview specifically?
Well, the easiest benefit, and it's free of charge, is to visit an Entrepreneur's Advantage on Facebook. It's a free Facebook community that I have going that builds up my tribe. We're about 1,000 people. It got started just recently. They can visit stevedsims.com, and actually, if they put their email in there, they'll actually get some videos and a cheat sheet of the Bluefishing, The Art of Making Things Happen. Or they can listen to my podcast, The Art of Making Things Happen, the podcast with me, Steve Sims.
100%. And also we'll mention all the links and everything that you mentioned in the show notes and description below. I know one of my favorite things on your website was the fact that you explain the steps of how somebody can build their network, trying to see, I think it's right next to the home button where the course is, and you are, I think you're still selling the course, correct?
Yeah, we got Sims Distillery.
Perfect. Yeah. So I'll, everything that you have just mentioned, and also a couple other things that you have going on the website, we'll list them in the show notes below. And if it's the last thing that we would leave the audience with, what would that be?
Do you know, I'm going to quote my dad. My dad years ago said to me when I was a kid, and it made no sense at the time, but it's come true to me every single year since. He said, no one ever drowned by falling in the water. They drowned by staying there. And as entrepreneurs, we fall in the water a lot. We fall over, we scuff our knees, we scrape ourselves, but it's your choice as to whether or not you drown.
Facts. I love that. Thank you for sharing that, Steve. And also thank you for being on the show today. Really appreciate the time and everything that you share with us. Looking forward to connect with you at the next event in person, hopefully. But again, thank you so much for being on the show.
I appreciate it. Cheers, man.
Hey, podcast listeners, I want you to know that I really appreciate your attention and I don't take it lightly. That's why each month we pick a lucky winner and we give away books, mentorship, software, courses, iPads, and other cool stuff. The way to enter is go to clientacquisitionpodcast.com and sign up. You'll get all the details there. Talk to you guys soon. Take care.